A new face. In the neighborhood. The finale. Jasmine hurries off the couch and runs into the bathroom and locks the door. Just leave. Get out, she shouted. Kevin, scared and confused, throws his clothes on and runs out the door. Kevin gripped the steering wheel tightly as he sped down the empty streets, his mind racing. The image of Jasmine's tear-streaked face haunted him, her panicked screams echoing in his ears. Get off me! Get off me! What are you doing? He replayed the moment over and over, unable to understand what went so wrong. His friends' voices from earlier mocked him in his head. You had one job, bro. Don't make the same mistake. His chest felt heavy, a knot of guilt and confusion pressing against his ribs. He barely noticed the red light ahead as he blew through the intersection. The blaring horn of an oncoming truck snapped him out of his daze. But it was too late. The impact was sudden and violent, flipping his car onto its side. The sound of crunching metal and shattering glass filled the air as Kevin's world spun into chaos. His head slammed against the window and everything went black. The darkness shifted, and Kevin found himself in a completely different scene. He was in a brightly lit college gym, the sound of basketballs bouncing against the polished floor echoing around him. The faint scent of sweat and floor polish filled the air. He looked down at his hands. They were younger, unscarred by time and regret. His jersey bore the name of his alma mater, Golden State University. The number 23 stitched boldly across his chest. Kevin! A familiar voice called out. He turned to see his old coach waving him over. Focus, son. You've got scouts watching today. Stay sharp. Kevin nodded, the adrenaline from the game pulsing through him. He glanced at the stands, his eyes catching sight of a blonde girl with sparkling blue eyes. She smiled at him, her hand brushing her hair behind her ear. Emily? His heart skipped a beat, and he smiled back. After the game, they met outside the gym. Emily threw her arms around him, laughing. You were amazing out there, she said, her voice sweet and genuine. For a moment, everything felt perfect. Suddenly, Kevin was no longer in the glow of a post-game celebration. He was sitting in a cramped interrogation room, a single light bulb swinging above him. The air was thick with tension, and across the table sat two police officers. One glared at him while the other shuffled papers. She said you forced her, one of them said coldly. Kevin shook his head, his voice trembling. No, I didn't. It wasn't like that. She wanted to be with me. But their eyes told him they didn't believe him. Emily's parents had stormed into his life, accusing him of taking advantage of their daughter. The truth didn't matter to them. All they saw was a black boy they believed didn't belong with their white, upper-class family. The situation spiraled further. His scholarship was revoked, whispers of scandal following him wherever he went. Teammates distanced themselves. The girl he thought cared for him disappeared, leaving him to bear the weight of her family's lies. The shame, the anger, and the helplessness crushed him, suffocating him. Kevin bolted upright on the couch, his chest heaving, sweat dripping down his face. His throat was raw from the scream that tore out of him. His heart pounded in his ears as he struggled to catch his breath. Kevin? Jasmine's soft voice broke through the haze. She was sitting up next to him, her face filled with concern. Are you okay? What's going on? He couldn't speak at first, his mind still reeling from the nightmare. Jasmine reached over, placing a gentle hand on his arm. Breathe, she said calmly. You're safe, I'm right here. He took a shaky breath, wiping his face with trembling hands. It A dream. A nightmare, he managed to say, his voice hoarse. Jasmine got off of the couch and returned with a glass of water. She handed it to him, watching him closely as he drank. "Do you want to talk about it?" she asked, her voice tender. Kevin hesitated, then nodded. "It was from my past. From college," he said. He set the glass down and leaned back against the couch cushions, his eyes staring at the ceiling. "There was this girl, Emily. We were seeing each other, but her parents didn't approve. They didn't want her with me, a black guy who played basketball." Jasmine stayed quiet, letting him continue. "One day she accused me of raping her." The words felt heavy as they left his lips. "It wasn't true, but her family pushed it, and people believed them. I lost everything, my scholarship, my team, my future. It took years to clear my name, but even after, I couldn't escape the stigma." Jasmine's eyes softened with understanding. She placed her hand over his, squeezing gently. "Kevin, I'm so sorry you went through that. That's horrible." "It messed me up," he admitted. "Sometimes I still feel like I'm back there, like I'll never be free of it. Even tonight with you. I was so afraid. Afraid of making the wrong move, of hurting you." Jasmine shifted closer, her voice firm but kind. "Kevin, listen to me. You're not that man they try to paint you as. You've grown. You've learned. And you're not alone in this." She paused, her eyes locking onto his. "You don't have to worry about something like that happening with us. I see you for who you are, not who they said you were." Her words wrapped around him like a warm blanket, easing the tightness in his chest. He nodded slowly, his breathing steadying. "Thank you," he whispered, "for understanding." Jasmine smiled, brushing her hand against his cheek. "Of course. Now, how about we try to get some sleep? Tomorrow's a new day." Kevin nodded again, his body relaxing as he settled back into the couch. Jasmine lay down beside him, her presence a comforting anchor. As he closed his eyes, the echoes of the nightmare began to fade, replaced by the quiet reassurance that he wasn't alone anymore. The sunlight streamed through the blinds in Jasmine's apartment, illuminating the soft, peach-colored walls. Kevin stirred awake, blinking against the brightness. He turned his head and saw Jasmine walking back over to the couch, her hair pulled into a messy bun, wearing an oversized sweater and leggings. She held 2 steaming mugs in her hands. "Morning," she said softly, handing him a cup of coffee. "Morning," Kevin replied, sitting up and taking the mug. He inhaled the rich aroma, letting the warmth of the cup soothe his still frayed nerves. Jasmine sat beside him, her eyes searching his face. "How are you feeling? Any better after last night?" Kevin nodded slowly, taking a sip of the coffee. "Yeah, I'm good. Just glad I woke up and it wasn't real, you know? But I need to talk to my boys about some stuff." Jasmine tilted her head. "Your friends?" "Yeah," Kevin said, placing the mug on the bedside table. "They've been putting a lot of pressure on me about you. I need to let them know I'm not about to let anyone dictate how I handle things." Jasmine smiled softly. "Good. You should. I don't want you feeling like you have to prove anything to anyone when it comes to me." Kevin leaned over, pressing a gentle kiss to her cheek. "Thanks for understanding. I'll hit you up later, all right?" Jasmine nodded, watching as he grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. "Be careful out there, Kevin." "I will," he replied, flashing her a reassuring smile before leaving the apartment. Kevin made it home, showered, and dressed in a fresh pair of jeans and a fitted gray hoodie. He texted his boys, Justin, Dre, and Kenny, and set up a meeting at their usual spot, a casual burger joint near the basketball courts. When Kevin arrived, the guys were already there, seated in a corner booth. Dre spotted him first, grinning ear to ear. "There he is," Dre shouted, slapping the table. "Mr. Lady Killer himself. Good job, bro. I knew you'd be able to seal the deal with Jasmine." Justin chuckled, giving Kevin a knowing look. "Yeah, man, I told you she'd be feeling you. So how was it?" Kenny leaned back in his seat, smirking. "Yeah, details, man. Don't leave us hanging." Kevin shook his head, sliding into the booth. "Chill, y'all. I didn't smash Jasmine." Dre's grin faltered. "Wait, what? Then why'd you call this meeting?" Kevin sighed, running a hand over his face. "Listen, we passed out on the couch, okay? I had a nightmare, a bad one, and I woke up freaked out. That's it." Dre burst out laughing, slapping the table. Hold up, hold up. You're telling me you passed out and had a nightmare instead of getting it in with Jasmine? That's wild, bro." Justin frowned, nudging Dre. "Man, shut up. Let him talk." Kevin ignored Dre's laughter and continued. "The nightmare wasn't random. It brought up some old shit from college. You guys remember what happened with Emily?" The group fell silent, their expressions turning serious. Kenny nodded. "Yeah, we remember." Kevin leaned forward, his voice steady. "I can't let that mess with my head anymore. But what I really need y'all to understand is this. I don't want you pressuring me about girls. I'll move at my own pace when I'm ready." Dre, still trying to suppress a grin, raised his hands. All right, I hear you. My bad, bro." Justin nodded. "Yeah, man. We didn't mean to push you like that. We just thought, I don't know, we thought we were hyping you up." Kenny spoke up next. "For real, Kevin. We're sorry. From now on, we'll let you handle your business your way." Kevin gave a small smile, leaning back in his seat. "Appreciate that." The tension eased, and soon the group shifted back to their usual banter, cracking jokes about basketball and reminiscing about high school antics. By the time they left, Kevin felt lighter, knowing he'd set his boundaries with his friends. Later that afternoon, Kevin texted Jasmine, "Hey, you free for lunch? My treat." Her response was almost immediate. "Sure. Where should we meet?" They decided on a quaint little cafe downtown. When Kevin arrived, Jasmine was already seated outside, wearing a sleek black dress with gold hoop earrings. She looked up and smiled as he approached, and he couldn't help but smile back. "Hey," she said as he sat down. "Hey," he replied. "You look amazing." "Thank you," Jasmine said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "So, how'd your talk with your friends go?" "It went well," Kevin said, signaling the waiter. "I laid it all out, and they apologized. I think they get it now." Jasmine nodded approvingly. "Good. You needed to do that." The two of them ordered their food and settled into an easy rhythm of conversation. They talked about everything: work, dreams, their favorite childhood memories. Jasmine laughed when Kevin told her about the time he accidentally dunked on his coach during practice. Kevin, in turn, listened intently as Jasmine shared stories about moving to the city and navigating her new job. By the time the check arrived, they were both smiling, the awkwardness of the previous night long forgotten. Kevin insisted on paying, and Jasmine didn't argue. As they stood outside the cafe, Jasmine turned to him. "Thanks for lunch. I had a great time." "Me too," Kevin said, his voice warm. "Can we do this again sometime?" Jasmine smiled, stepping closer. "I'd like that." Kevin leaned in and kissed her gently, their connection solidifying in that moment. As they parted ways, Kevin felt a sense of clarity. For the first time in a while, the weight of his past didn't feel so heavy, and the future felt full of possibilities.